Hey loves, this is T with TarlaMakayab.com. How are you? I hope you're having a really good evening. So I'm making kind of an unexpected video with something that's just happening in my life right now, which I actually am in shock about. So I'm going to tell you what my fear is and how you can get over your own fears. I'm even nervous making this. Okay, so if you watch my channel, if you're on YouTube under the mental and health playlist a couple videos ago, you will see I was at a hospital. If you're on Facebook, you would have seen that as well. And it was about a couple weeks ago. I was on my way about 40 miles away to the dentist. I felt like chest pains the night before on the way there, and then when I came back in the car, I basically on the freeway had to exit the freeway because I felt numbness in my left arm, and basically it was a panic attack manifesting. And I was just scared. Obviously you're scared when you have a panic attack. So this happened 2 weeks ago. So I was driving last night. I went to Universal Studios yesterday in the middle of the week, just kind of last minute, spur of the moment. So I went by myself. It's not far from my house. It's maybe 25 miles, maximum 20 miles. And if you don't know, first of all, I live in Los Angeles. So the 405 freeway here has 300,000 people that use it every morning and every night. It is the largest freeway in the United States. So it has considerable traffic. It has points where they've said 5 lanes wide, but I counted yesterday 6 lanes wide. I mean, it's a massive freeway. You've pretty much, I'll put it to you straight, you pretty much have to be a badass to drive here. You can't, this is not some little town with like 2 lanes. This is like hardcore freeway. And again, the biggest freeway in the United States, so if that's any indication. So I was coming back from Universal Studios last night. I'm not familiar with one of the freeways that much, so it's not the 405, it's a different one. I don't get on there very often. So I thought I was getting on the right way. My GPS, you know when your GPS isn't talking to you, which is highly flippin' annoying. Hey, Sharky. My GPS wasn't having a conversation with me. So I got on the 101 South thinking that's gonna go back towards the 405, but I don't use the 101 a lot, so it's not like by heart. Like I know other freeways a lot better, like headed towards like Orange County. So I got on the 101 South, and then I thought, wait, I'm seeing Studio City, I'm coming from Universal Studio, and then I got turned around. Hey, Enrique, I was like, am I going the right way or not? So then I got confused. You know, it's like 9 o'clock at night or something, so I get off the freeway, and then I'm looking, like I'm listening to, I'm putting it on my phone, I'm putting out my car GPS, 2 different GPSs, they're talking to me at the same time, which can make anyone nuts just to begin with. And then they're showing on the phone that there's a hazard there, which for some reason my car GPS didn't show on the 405. So that's why it was rerouting me. They're both telling me to go the opposite direction. Okay, it makes sense. So I get back on the 101, but now I'm going north. And like I said, the 405 is the busiest freeway in the United States, but this is not the 405, but it's very trafficy. This is around Hollywood, Universal City, especially, you know, on Thursday night, people are going out, so it's not like there's like light traffic even at like 8:30 or 9 p.m. at night. So I'm headed that way, and then suddenly I feel like really, really nervous. And let me just give you some background on my driving record. I've only been in 1 accident that was ever deemed my fault, and it was so minor, it was ridiculous. I have been driving my entire life since I was 16. My dad taught race car driving to people. I love cars. I go to car shows. I'm all about driving fast. Like, I'm fearless in a car. So this made me really nervous because I had a panic attack 2 weeks ago while I was driving. I didn't equate it to the driving. Then last night, I basically think I had a panic attack. I didn't have chest pains, but I got this weird feeling in my feet, like in the base of my feet, like this tingling. And I'm like, oh my God, why do I feel nervous? Why do I feel nervous about other cars? Like this is, if you knew me personally, you would laugh. Like I'm the last person for driving that you would think something like this would happen to me. So then I just make a choice. I'm like, I'm gonna get off the freeway before the 110 because the 110 was coming up. That leads to downtown LA, and that is really crazy at night. So I got off at Sunset Boulevard and I drove all the way home, which is a little drive, not that bad, on surface streets, and I couldn't believe what happened, basically. I'm actually really nervous today. I forced myself. So here's what I'm going to tell you. In psychology, the principle that I'm talking about is exposure therapy. If you have a phobia of something, you expose yourself to it. There's no way of getting around it. And I'm not going to go into all this stuff about online marketing, but I see people online in online business like making all these excuses. I literally am facing my fear. I don't know where this came from. I've been driving with no incident, no problem, which is really scary about phobias. They can just come out of nowhere. I did have a couple scary instances on the freeway in the past. So once where I literally was given a rental car that ran out of gas. It sounds stupid, but I literally had driven off the lot and I didn't even look, and they left like 1/8 of a tank of gas. It was so horrible, from a BMW dealer. Hey Jen, so I literally ran out on the 405 freeway, the busiest freeway in the United States, of gas during rush hour. And seeing all the cars whiz by you when you're come to a complete stop in the busiest lane, basically one over from the busiest lane, is highly stressful. I've been hit on Sunset Boulevard and pushed into another lane in the past. I've had like scary instances like that of things happening. So I don't know if it's from the past and all of a sudden it's like catching up with me. The first time I ever had a panic attack was in a car when I was 32, but I never felt nervous about driving. So today I was like, this is BS. I live in LA. I'm going to be effed if I can't drive in a car. Like, are you kidding? I'm young. Like, this is not going to happen to me. I'm not going to let this happen. And I'm getting chills right now, but I forced myself to drive on the freeway today. That's how I'm facing my fear. And like, I never thought, I feel so lame even talking about this, that now I'm going to get emotional, that I would ever be scared of driving a car. And that is terrifying to even feel that, because like a car represents freedom. And I don't live in a place like New York where there's subways. I live in LA. And I don't have millions of dollars where I can hire a driver on command to drive me to any errand that I have. So as you can see, this is actually really emotional for me. I'm driving on the freeway tonight. I drove twice on the freeway today. And I don't know what it is about the freeway now that I'm nervous about. And like I said, I feel like I'm 90 years old, like I'm young, like what is happening to me? But I think it's trauma from having a panic attack, first of all, on the freeway is really scary when you're in one of the fast lanes. And I think it's also trauma from being before stalled on a freeway. Like I said, I literally ran out of gas from a ridiculous dealer who gave me a car. Like, when you rent a car, it's always full of gas. And when you return a car, they charge you to fill up the tank if you don't charge it up. Like, I've rented tons of cars. They're always full of gas. And for some reason that day, like I just didn't look down. I barely had the car. I ran out of gas on the freeway. So I'm facing my fear, and that's what I'm going to tell you. I'm like, exposure therapy means you keep exposing yourself to something, because what happens is once you keep exposing yourself to it, you get to the point where the anxiety fades, and then it's like from all the exposure, you almost get bored and like, oh, here we go again. I'm driving on the freeway. Like, it's no big deal. And that's what you have to do in your life when you have any kind of fear. I tackle my fears head on, but this is exceptionally scary because obviously there's people going like 80 miles an hour on a freeway. So this is something that actually can be dangerous if and now I'm having this issue where I'm driving on overpasses, and I remember one time a year ago, I drove on this overpass here. It's literally, I exaggerate not. When you look down, it looks like it's 2 miles high. It's an extremely, extremely high and thin overpass. I was going that way, which I never go, and they had barricaded, there's only 2 lanes, they had barricaded the entire right lane. So it was all barricaded with those white barricades, and the turn was going towards the left, and I was in the left lane. So you barely look down, and you could see it's such an immense drop. You know how I've tried to fight my fear of heights? I've been skydiving. I've been paragliding. Clearly, it's not like I overcame my fear. I was scared. I don't even know if I could say this word, but shitless, basically, whatever. And I still did that. And I didn't do it repeatedly to overcome a fear, but I'm like, I'm not gonna let this stop me. So I'm not letting this stop me tonight. I feel, like I said, really lame even saying this, living in LA, and that of all people, I would never think this would be an issue for me, but it is. And it is what it is. I have trauma, obviously, from some incidents that I've had on the freeway. So what am I going to do about it? Like sit here and then not drive and then let more time go by and not drive and then always avoid the freeway and then suddenly I'm like not even driving on the side streets? No, I'm going to face it head on no matter how scared I am. So if you have a fear of driving, I'm just going to throw this in here. Here's things you can do. You can blast the AC, so it's super cold, because that actually is calming for you. It's the same as if you're at home, you can splash your face with cold water, right? If you get anxious, or you can put an ice pack on your eyes. Obviously you can't do that driving. So you blast the cold air or you roll down the windows. You can count. I'm doing all these tips now that I read about. You can count. So I'm counting up to 10 and then backwards, because what happens is, what's happening to me is, and everyone knows I'm in neurofeedback, and I really don't feel this is like has anything to do with the neurofeedback. It's literally just some trauma that I had not that long ago. I also didn't mention this, but I was really far away from my house. I always have an extra pair of glasses in the car. I happened to take them out the night before and tuck them in my shirt, like through almost like a habit you do with your sunglasses. When I went to drive the next night, I got somewhere really far away during the day. And at night, I realized I didn't have my glasses on me. I wasn't at a person's house. I basically was stuck in the middle of the night, and I felt really handicapped without having, I only wear glasses at night. I don't wear glasses during the day, like only because I have this like little bit of night blindness, and I didn't even realize how bad it was. So I wasn't so worried about it until I got in the car to start driving, and I'm like, I can't drive anywhere. So I was like basically stranded somewhere, and that was traumatizing. Oh, so anyway, I'm like nervous now to get in my car, which I cannot even believe. I'm getting like that sensation in the bottom of my feet, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the tricks that I told you. I'm going to count how many red cars I see, and I'm going to drive home tonight when it's pitch black, because I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm not going to let my fears get the best of me. They haven't ever, and I'm not going to let that start now. So I hope those tips were helpful. If you have a fear of driving, they're not a lot. The other thing is, because I'm not an expert on this yet, but to put like meditation type music, obviously nothing that you're not supposed to listen to when you're operating heavy machinery, nothing with any kind of like binaural beats or anything that could be dangerous. But I'm just talking about like if there's something that is strictly like the sound of waves and it has no background tracks that are supposed to put you to sleep, something like that, I'm listening to one of those that you can listen to anytime, sound of waves while I'm driving. Again, I feel completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and insane making this video. But you know, I tell you everything about my life. I don't leave out stuff just to make myself look good. Like I'm telling you, this is like a fear of mine now. It's not going to be for long though. I'm telling you, I'm not going to let it be for long. I went on 2 overpasses today. They were not nearly as high as that one I was scared of a while ago. And that one that I was scared of a while ago, I went once. I remember that feeling in the bottom of my legs, but then I kept driving like normal, like nothing had happened. And now all of a sudden, like, it's like everything is scaring me, and it's almost like it's trauma coming back. What I was going to say is, so basically the counting, when you count to whatever, like let's say 15 and backwards or up to 50 and backwards, you're using your frontal lobe of your brain, which is like the logical, which is like counting, right? And so what's happening to me is fight or flight. It's my amygdala in the back, which basically, you know, causes you to lose your mind, causes you to go in fight or flight. It's the emotional, almost irrational brain that causes you to like think with your emotions versus logically. Like logically, I have an amazing driving record. I'm a great driver. I could have been a driver for a living, like a professional driver. I'm not kidding, because my dad, like I said, taught people basically race car driving classes. Like it's in my blood to drive. I've done defensive driving. Like I literally took classes with BMW where we did controlled spin outs. I'm a good driver. So I just have to keep telling myself that. I've created positive affirmations for myself. So if you have any kind of fear, because what I'm finding as I'm getting older is fears can pop up at any point in your life. Like I'm like, where the hell did this one even come from? I have no idea. And like, I'm not going to let this control me. So you can think, oh my God, that's laughable. Like if someone had told me years ago, oh, you'll one day like be scared of driving, I would have laughed in their face. Or if I heard other people say that they were scared of driving, I would have thought like, why? Why would you be scared of driving? And now like, look at me. So like, don't ever discount the fact that you don't know what's coming in your future, and you don't know that you'll always be okay with something. You might seemingly out of nowhere develop a phobia to whatever. And it can be very limiting. And I remember my mom had like, so they classify actually driving phobia, I forget what they call it, xenophobia or zebophobia. They classify it under agoraphobia. Now, a lot of people think of agoraphobia as like being trapped in your house. And I say it like that, agoraphobia, because I'm like, oh my God, like that sounds so dramatic to me. Because my mom, I remember we had a neighbor and she used to drive her all over the place because she literally would shake like this. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like a leaf. And my mom brought her to like the ATM and would stand with her and stuff. And I remember that. And so when I see that there's a tie to that with the driving, that really makes me nervous, because I remember seeing that neighbor we had that was like basically not functional and she was trapped in her house. And that's only one aspect of it. But I'm like, there's no way in hell that I'm going to let this continue. So if you're scared, use the exposure therapy technique, which means you're going to have to expose yourself to what you're scared of. There's no getting around that. If you're scared of heights, I mean, look what I did. I jumped out of a plane. If you're scared of driving, drive. If you're scared of whatever, doing live videos, do live videos. You just take like baby steps. I'm kind of balls to the wall person. I don't really take baby steps. So I went, like I said, on 2 overpasses today because I was kind of scared of these overpasses. I mean, like I said, these are massive freeways in Los Angeles. These are no joke. You have to be a badass to drive here freeways. Hey, Luca. So these are, I mean, here's the interesting thing. I've driven in Paris. I've driven, on trips in Normandy. I've driven any state that I've gone to, I've rented a car, I've driven there, not knowing where the hell I'm going, not knowing the city. So it's crazy. I drove around the Arc de Triomphe, okay, in Paris, which is the most insane intersection probably in the world. There's like, it's like a wheel with spokes. There's like every direction there's cars entering this roundabout with no lanes. People are driving like mad. People like, I've been able to drive there. And I've been able to drive in other countries where I don't even know the language. So then I should be having no problems here. So with that said, if you have some fear, you're going to have to tackle it head on like I am. Wish me luck. And I'll chat with you soon. Take care.